Low impact and toning, we are going to start. Could it be different than our other workouts? No, not right out of the gate. I want you to start with your moving feet. So the only thing that I've eliminated is my pillow work today. Okay. If you have your RX pad or your pillow and you want to put it down because you want to have a little bit of a harder workout, you are going to be doing the same pattern, just up and down off your step. Okay. Your little pillow will make it harder and you may have to work slower. And we're going to go right off into a movement combo. Okay, so instead of just staying in this most basic movement, I want you to think of the letter L, okay, but an upside down L. So as you step forward, try to mirror me, right? And we're going to come up, up, and then we're going to go off to the side, and then we're going to retrace our steps. Ready? On your next forward step, come up, complete it, side step, go back, right, left, okay? Right, left, right, left. There you go. So it essentially you are doing 2 double step touches. I don't know how much info to give you to throw you, but your right foot or your probably left foot, if you're mirroring me, right, is doing 2 repetitions. And then the other foot gets 1 repetition, 2 repetitions, forward 1, side 1, switch legs. All right, here we go. So Chris, good morning. You've not missed much. We're just starting off with a little bit of our pattern footwork, and we are doing repeating pattern, 2 repetitions, although the movement is changing, right? 1 forward step, 1 lateral step, reverse. You got 2 more on this side, and that will give us an easy 10, hoping that your body's picking it up. Okay. And now do this last one, complete it on the back end, and give me step touches right here. Wipe the slate clean. Your other leg. So if you're mirroring me, this is going to be our forward stepping leg. And we're going to start with our basic step, forward, forward, back. Go now, just forward, 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 back, basic step. Okay. All right. And I'll repeat it. If for some reason you feel like you are now like energized and you want to throw your pillow down or your RX pad, put it down, because with the RX pad, you can still do the pattern work. You're just going to have to be a little more conscientious about your footstep. I'm going to turn to the side for a moment. Your push back, if you get like too robust, your pushback will be too far. So I just want you to feel like you're taking a comfortable step back where your center of gravity is staying with you versus in a hard drive back. Okay, so here we go. Now, keep watching until you see the pattern change. This left leg is going to, I say left. This is what's happened since I've gotten out of the in-person classes, step classes. If you're mirroring me, right, you are probably on your right leg right now. So here we go. Step forward, come out to the side, 1, right? Step back, step back. So it's forward, forward. The other leg does the side step, forward, forward, back, step. So that repeating pattern. And however your legs are now stepping, just let it happen. If you're not doing 2 steps, 1 step, 2 step, 1 step, 2 step with the same lead leg, I can't do anything to help you because I've given about as much verbiage as I can to get you going in the right direction. And Chris, you may not know this, but I actually don't think you're on mute because your name keeps flashing across the screen. So here we go. We're just working out all the kinks. Up, up, over, side, and back. Up, up, over, side, and back. Do 1 more. Okay. When you get back, just stay with your step touches. Step touch, sweep. The arms can be as big as you want them. Or if your shoulders are a little tender, keep the elbows kind of tucked in and just let them stay down, waist level and lower. We are going back to the double step touch. Right now you're in single. So I'm going to go double touch this way. 1 and 2. And your arms may go, oh, okay, I want more. Okay. What is the fourth step? Okay, right now we've got it in a little closed tap, right? But if your body, I'm just going to keep saying if your body is like charged and energetic and you feel like your knees and ankles and feet already have some spring to them, then you're going to let your fourth step tap back behind the other leg. Your feet might already have transitioned into a grapevine step. See what my stepping, striding leg is doing? The grapevine is a walk, cross, back step. Step, cross, back step, push. Now we're getting a little bit more complex, right? So you're doing low level arms, really tight footwork with very little leg spring. If your body is just trying to grasp the movement combination. But if you're going for it, then it's this big power through the middle, right? Because if we were in, say, high impact aerobic class, this middle line right here would have you with a little spring, explosive move off the floor. And then when you take that fourth step right there, your body goes down, coils up, spring. So I want to give you options. If your shoulders feel good, if your knees feel good, if your feet feel strong, then you just put a little more oomph into it. Give me 2 more, and I'm just going to tone it down. Back to single step touch. So with those few little spring ups I did, that gets us into HIIT, high intensity interval training. And this was something that I threw into our conversations last week about it doesn't have to be more than just a few of something that's a little bit more explosive than what you had been doing that takes you into this, like your lungs expand, your heart rate comes up a little bit. And then after that high intensity for a moment, that might have winded you to the point where you actually then, this might be too much. You might have to go sit down and let yourself fully recover before you're able to go again. Okay. So it's up to you. Arms, it looks like the arms are just like, flapping around and dropping down, but I want your arm that stays up. Okay. I'm going to show you from the rear side. So the arm that stays up, I want you to think about these muscles through the shoulder blades. Shoulders are down, and it's if you're trying to push them back a little bit, right? So the arm that stays up isn't forward of your mid-body line. It's actually slightly retracted so that that big, strong upper rear delt is working. Pull and push, pull and push. 5, 4, 3, 2, relax your arms, shake it out. So some of you don't know, and you can't remember everything about everybody, but Peggy was in town, Clearwater Beach yesterday. She came to my class yesterday morning. We then played about, I don't know, what would you say, 30 or 40 minutes of pickleball. And then we did a little one-on-one training. And then she hopped on a plane and went home. So that was really awesome, Peggy. It was so good to see you actually see you. So she got to meet some of the Tuesday morning people, Tuesday morning pickleballers. Push, push, push. Anytime you need to sit down or just walk around your space because these high legs are too much, do it. What is the drawing down arm doing? Tense up your tricep, right? So the arm comes down and it's not this limp, like hanging arm. If you push the arms in opposite directions, you will get shoulder press and tricep press, right? Push. Sorry, I try to work opposite arm to leg because it feels more natural. Low impact and full body toning is why we're still in motion with this giant movement. It's because we're trying to do an extended period of time of cardiovascular conditioning. 5, 4, 3, 2, shake it out. Okay. So in your shake, 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 shake. Now you get to kind of soften elbows, soften wrists, your ankles, your feet are flopping, the knees, the hips, you have a little bounce, push. I've started with a new client and he's 70 and I don't know if he's 6'2" or 6'5". I think he's 6'5". Anywho, he used to play basketball and football. He's a big guy. And so he's very heavy on his feet because he's not played sports. He's 70. He's not played sports for a good, 30, 40 years. Shake it out to the side. And what has he lost? You keep shaking to whatever speed feels good to you. That's why I just tempo changed here. If you're just kind of kicking, be okay with being limp and kind of like almost like puppet arms and legs. If you want more, you'll be bouncing, but everything is still kind of soft right here. Back to the front, forward, forward, side, out. Forward, forward, side, out. Whatever speed suits you. So we have been working on his ability to have little spring in his body. Switch the lead leg if you can. Uh-oh. Choking myself up. So hopefully you're in forward, forward, side out. I may have to grab a drink of water. My eyes are actually watering now. You know, when you have a cough that can't come out. All right, here we go. Back to jog. So how do you get a body that literally can't get off the ground? How do you teach those muscles to become active again and pliable? I've had to become very creative in their garage, but those big bands that I know so many of you have, I've managed to hook some up because they've got their whole garage is set up for weight training. So I've found a way to hook up these bands from a high surface and literally you keep jogging and I'm going to show you. He holds onto these bands and he does this. He pulls on the band and tries to get his feet off the floor, not to like lift his feet off the floor, but to use these muscles in the calves and the feet, okay? So when I tell you that every single training session that I have is different because everybody's need and everybody's body is a little bit different. And this is what gets me and keeps me so excited about what I do. And probably why release and relax, walk it out. When I tell you that even when we're not in class, you all are always on my mind because my mind is always spinning with thoughts of, I wonder how so-and-so would do with that one. Walk it off, grab a little drink, come back with your light dumbbells. So you guys always give me so much to think about in the course of my day. That keeps me motivated. It keeps me engaged and desiring to have a little more knowledge base on how to continue to help you reach your goals. And that's why I always ask you, what do you need to do? What's going to make you feel good today? Mind you, I didn't ask you that today, but I do care. All right, light weights. What are your light weights? Do you know that maybe your lightweight is just the weight of your arm? I don't know, right? Shoulders down. Not only are you pushing your shoulders down, you want to roll your wings into retraction, and then squeeze the inside of the arm in towards the trunk without letting the elbow slide back beyond and behind the shoulder. That's the hard part, is how do you get your tricep and this lat mass depressed and in the right angle so that your shoulder is ready to move. And if your mirror is handy, you walk up to the mirror and you're like, what's she talking about? Sometimes when you just tuck your wings, then turn to the side and go, oh, okay, how do we set it up? How do we set it up so then we squeeze our buns under, slab like back? You're not going to be doing too many of these opening and closings, but I want you to at least initiate it, because if you have pain right here, then you can't go on with this movement, all right? And if you have pain as you float in and out, then do you have pain if you just hold it? Because if you don't have pain in the holding, then that's where I want you to stay. Okay, so here we go. Taking one leg up. When you open the weights, can you lift your leg? And from a balance standpoint, if you need to put that foot apart from the other one to help you feel stable, and then pull where your body kind of slides as you open, right? Versus staying on the stance leg and just barely tapping the other foot down. I'm not certain what you need. Hold the arms open, switch feet. Take a moment, shoulders, reset the shoulder girdles down, depressed, retracted, buns tight, abs engaged, elbows drawing in towards the side body. Open stride to start. Your arms are going to stay put. Pull the knee, set it down. So this slide body movement that I'm doing, right, is only to help you with your balance work. If you don't need this extra little touchdown and rock over, then stay put on your dominant stance, right? And you're tapping. 5. Turn the hand palms up. 4. Keep pulling the elbows in. 3, 2, and walk it out. Keep the arms, or with the weight, relax the arms. So now you're walking, and I want you to pretend like you're this character that's like, I was almost going to say like King Kong, Godzilla, right? You've seen the black and white, right? Where the stride happens and the ground shakes, right? I want you to walk with purpose, in that you are exaggerating your stride. Your arms are tensed. It's opposite arm to leg forward, but the arms aren't swinging way up. It's just enough to have push down to help your trunk have this tension line. The forward leg weights into the floor and the rear leg pushes. So everything about your body is in a push, stride and push, stride and push. Squeeze the bun on the trailing leg. And here's what you might find is something that you're doing. What if when you stride forward and you thud down your front leg, the rear heel isn't connecting with the floor? Then you're not in pushback. Front leg bends, rear leg drives into full extension, both arms push. One goes forward, tensed, and you're just moving around your space. Check in with your rear heel. Drive it to the floor. Drive it to the floor. Squeeze your bun on the trailing leg. 5, 4, 3, 2, relax. Why is that so hard? It's not hard for me because I give my body the right command, but every time you checked in with your trailing heel, if it wasn't on the floor, that speaks a lot to your body's ability to brace. That's what we need to do all day long as a form of command, is brace. You're done with your light weights. All right. Well, maybe not done, but for right at the moment. So why don't we put our mat into the equation? Uh-oh. Could we already be going down to the floor for one round of something? I think so. Sideline. Because you know, getting on and off the floor is part of your workout. The harder you find it getting on and off the floor, you might incorporate that a little bit extra every day. So how do you want to come down? Which way? Downward dog? Wind around? I don't know. I'm going to use my legs. Right? Get hung up. If your body's always seeking the way to not get hung up in a move, that's the move that we should be spending more time on, interestingly enough. Okay, so what are we going to do? Sideline. Put your elbow under your shoulder. Think clamshells. Okay, so the knees are forward of the hips. The feet are actually in line with the back of the hip. So as you look at your body, there should be some angles going on here, and 90-degree, other than this arm position being right under the shoulder, not going to be getting 90s. Okay, so are you in excessive S right now? How do you know that? You probably are if you have not told yourself, pull your belly button into your body a little bit. As soon as you do that, you'll feel your hips do a slight pelvic tilt, and that's the start protection position. And as soon as you get out of excessive S and you try to do a little bit of a pelvic tilt, it will change what you feel happening in the top hip. Clamshell does not have to be done from the elbow prop up position. If this is too much for your shoulder, lay your body down. But if you can maintain your elbow support with the right bracing position, you will get shoulder isometric training, which is something that is desirable. Okay, so fatigue might set in because your trunk weight, it's heavy. Cervical spine, chin tuck, shoulders depressed and slightly retracted, navel to spine and a slight pelvic tilt, and now you're just holding the leg. It should be slightly on fire back there, going like, that's such an odd place to feel a burn. Keep squeezing your derriere. Shoulders down and back, chin tuck, belly to spine, release and relax. Oof. I heard Rich giving his son some advice on lifting weights. Remember that commercial when E.F. Hutton speaks, everybody listens? Well, that's the position I took when I heard him giving advice, because when you only hear one side of the conversation, I was like, his son has just indicated to his dad that he's got some shoulder pain. So do you think Rich said, well, you might want to talk to Michelle about that? No. Peggy, you and I were talking about something similar yesterday. Set yourself up. Is your body collapsed? Do you know that you can't hold yourself up? And so you're like, I'm just gonna take myself down to the next level, right? You can lay down with your head supported so your neck is nice and gently relaxed, right? And still do your clamshell. But everything about your clamshell, as far as you pulling your belly in and trying to be in a smidgen of a pelvic tilt, needs to still present itself when you're down here, okay? So I heard Rich say something that was slightly contrary to the advice I would have given him. And that's what I know his son is going to run with, right? Belly to spine. There is such a plethora of rehab information on YouTube, Facebook, and all of that, that I was really surprised that he was using Rich as a resource, and that as a resource, Rich didn't direct him to something that really could have benefited him from for a long term. So this is the interesting thing about shoulders. Okay. All of that statement just to tell you this next thing. You're going to keep going because I want you to feel a burn. As the leg gets high, that's when I want you to really try to stabilize your hips so that your body isn't rocking and dipping through the middle brace. Okay. We don't just want to pull the shoulders back. It's actually worse to just pull the shoulders back because of what it does to the rest of you. So you need to cervical spine, chin tuck, depress your shoulders, because as soon as you depress your shoulders, your retraction of them will be scaled back to where they're supposed to be. But if you just pull your shoulders back, they go way back further than they're actually supposed to be, and that does not improve your posture. Release and relax. Legs out to the front, little QL walk, walk it, walk it, walk it. Fortunately, you all get to hear all of these little stories, and I hope there's some aspect of being slightly humored with it, because at the time that I was listening to it, it was all I could do to not grab the phone away and go, "Don't do that." But I just tried to have a non-affected look, but in my mind, like, so much was going on that I just had to zip my lip. Someone used to say, um, it's not grin and bear it. It's just, swallow the blood, bite your tongue and swallow the blood. But listen, I can't get myself all, I hope you're just like going, my buns are getting a nice massage here, right? Because we're getting ready to get back up. All right. And relax on your feet. However you're going to do that. It's not going to be pretty, but I'm going to give it a go here. Learning how to get up from this position has been quite the challenge. And you're supposed to be able to get up, swivel, and sit back down. And that reverses the lead leg. Maybe on the next set, I'll see if I can do the whole 180 thing. So bring your chair to your equation. It is time to do your triceps. We're going to let the chair be some support base for our body. The chair, you're going to be draping your body over the chair so that you don't have to worry about working your back too hard. This is not new. We just haven't done it for a while, okay? So torso over the chair. Your other hand gets to brace you. Your feet, the legs are going to stay long, right? And I need for you to squeeze your buns and incorporate this nice tensed up leg. So don't let the knees be soft and floppy. Tense them up. All right, pulling the shoulder into depression and retraction. And then if you're looking at the screen, right, your arm is going to be doing this tricep kickback. Did you pick the wrong weight for your tricep? I would say somewhere between 2 to 5 pounds. Some of you might be able to do 6 to 8. I've got an 8, and if I had a 6-pounder, that would be perfect. So If you've gone a little bit heavy, here's what's going to happen. When the arm comes down, the elbow might lose its holding position. And that's what you're going to try really hard to avoid, is when the arm starts its downswing, to stop it in a nice bend versus letting it hang back down to the floor. So pull it up. Use your other hand as a good brace to help keep your trunk lifted. Buns are tight, legs are straight. Give me 5, 4. If you're looking at the screen, turn your head, look down at the floor. 3. As you're looking down at the floor, your head should not be hanging. Your upper back body is braced. Do one more. Push and release. Take yourself, turn around. If your chair is like mine, you won't be able to do it without turning yourself around. Okay. Straighten the legs. Use this hand on the floor to help prop you up. Your buns need to be tight because that's part of your bracing position, right? The chin is slightly tucked, even if your head is turned. You don't want the chin tipped up away from the trunk, right? So cervical spine, shoulders out of the ears, pull your working arm up, extend. So if you have picked up a weight that's a little heavy, then you might have to rest here in this bent position to like muster up the push aspect of it. You might not be able to have this fluid hinge and extension. The stop point might get you go, okay, I'm resting, I'm rechecking in with all my parts, and then you muster up, and then you build up a little steam right here, squeeze your buns, and then you muster up, right? Lots of ways to break through these barriers, but I would rather you always err on the side of less is more, okay, so that your form can be spot on. Give me 2 more. Inhale, push back, release, and relax. Just prop yourself up for a second. Let your knees relax. You don't have to touch the floor. You're just in rest mode because we are going to push ourselves out a little bit further on our chair and get our derriere fired up. Okay, here we go. Walk it out a little bit. You want to be forward enough so that your feet don't comfortably touch the floor, because that's not where they're going to be anymore. They're up. And if you're not forward enough, it'll feel really hard to get your legs up and in plane with the rest of your body. Now, your arms, so you all know that we don't do a whole lot of like push-up work in class for a very specific reason. Most people do push-ups wrong. So what are we going to do? You can be knuckles down, right? Or flat palm, but I would prefer you knuckles down. Shoulders out of the ears, squeeze the buns, legs are long like someone's pulling on your toes, and just keep trying to get the chin to cervical spine retraction, right? The hands are pressing into the floor to help posture you up to your braced body line. You should be able to turn your head right and left. And when you turn your head, you're not looking forward. You're looking as if you have a line on the floor and your eyes follow the line so that your chin stays in its neutral position. Our body awareness of where our parts are when we can't see them, to go, oh, that's way out of line, right? I'm only telling you to turn your head as a means of you gauging whether or not your chin is actually in neutral. And once you're certain that it is, glide your shoulders out of your ears again, squeeze your buns, your legs are just flutter kicking. Here we go. 10, 9, 8. Nice stiff legs. Try not to let them bend behind the knees. Stiffen them up. You're working your derriere. 5, 4, 3, 2, and release. Sliding down. Whew. You're getting yourself out of this. Okay. Help yourself up. Take your time, grab a little drink. Your chair is going to continue to be part of your equation. You know how long it's been since we've done our little like quick chair squats? I don't, but it seems like it's been a long time. You don't even need your weight for this. So just kind of clean up your space. Pillow or towel will be needed because this is going to go between your knees. Maybe you're like, ooh, as much as I need to do squats, I'm tired and I need to take a little break. You figure that out. Can I just say that whatever you're putting between your knees, just let that object kind of help you with your foot positioning too. Okay, so your feet are only going to be as far apart as the object that's going between your knees, and then get a good squeeze on it. Why don't we start by continuing to let the heart rate come down? When you lay on your body, your belly, the heart, your organs, and you're pushing down into them, it creates pressure and like it makes you feel like you're working hard. So if your heart rate's up a little bit from that bun work that we just did, this is your recovery. So this is adduction, right? We're squeezing. You might not even be able to see unless you lean into it and go, what are her legs actually doing? I'm taking my knees and I'm squeezing my towel. Now, it's so much more than that. Okay. Open, depress, zip. As soon as you pull your belly in and you feel your tailbone kind of rock, you should also feel your buns. Like pulling your belly in doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to feel your abs work. But when you pull the belly in and try to tighten up through the derriere, even though we're sitting on our buns, right? So it's harder to actually get the buns tight because we're sitting on them, but it will intensify all of the muscle work. And now we're going to run the experiment. So don't contract your abs. Don't try to squeeze your buns. Just try to move the knees. Feel that. And then go, okay, I'm going to get out of S to a nice slab back by pulling my ribs through my body, navel draws in, tailbone tips up, and now try to pinch your buns and squeeze at the same time. So much more gets fired up, and relax. If you need to make adjustments, now's the time to do it. Look down. Did your feet move? Is one foot sitting slightly forward of the other? Have the feet actually kind of turned out? Because unless you bend forward and look at them, you might not even realize that the feet are pulled back too far. How could it be that your feet are pulled back too far? If your ankle bone is not under your knee bone, straight down, then your feet are pulled back too far. Squeeze. Do you need hands to help get you out of your chair? Do you need hands to help brace you so that you're not doing too much work on the down? I was working with a client once. Now, mind you, she was in her 80s. That's always impressive, okay? That is impressive, period. But she'd had some major issues and very, very weak in her legs. And so the goal was to get her legs strong enough to do the chair sits. Like this is one of those testing moves. You go anywhere and they give you a test and it's like, okay, let's do sit to stand, sit to stand. That's what it's called, sit to stand. It's given in all rehab programs because of how much of your body and what's required of you to get out of the chair. And as your legs get weaker, what happens is you start using your body where she would hinge like this because it offloads the work of the legs. Do you know how hard it is to retrain somebody to not do this? So if you catch yourself with this part of your body coming down to your thighs, just know that your body is seeking the path of least resistance, which is not going to long-term serve you. So rest, extend, toot, toot, toot. Seems like all I'm doing is kicking my leg out, right? Because if you're just kicking your leg out, guess what your other foot isn't doing? Bracing. Push that other foot down. So, because doesn't the heel want to pick up as you extend the other leg? Hold that. Push the heel down. Engage your body where it's supposed to be. Hold it. Look at your nice straight leg. Is it straight? Is the foot coming up higher than the other one and the pillow's all cockeyed? This would be where your mirror, because you see, if you had a mirror, you'd be able to go, oh, look at that. It's really cockeyed. The wrong muscles are working. How do we square up our little object and squeeze in all the right places? Push down, switch sides. We don't have to do weighted leg extensions to work our quads. All we have to do is hold our leg straight in a static hold. It doesn't even have to be high. Higher is worse because of how it's going to throw the rest of your parts off. So lengthen the leg, even if it's lower, and just gauge what your object between your knees is doing. Okay, switch. Down leg, push it into the floor. If your down leg has tracked back too far, you will not be able to push your heel down, right? High leg, nice and straight. And here's what we're doing with the high leg. Cruel and unusual punishment, right? So I get to look at the screen. I can tell that my foot is straight up and down, right? Because if it was like that, you'd be able to see it, right? Straight up and down with your foot. So you put your own eyes on your foot. That little thigh is saying, oh, stop. Switch legs. Extend the leg, take the down leg, push it down, take the high leg. It doesn't have to be high. It just needs to be straight. Look at your foot. Push the instep of your foot forward. And now give these little pulses. Oh, are you like, oh, it'll be okay. Sometimes when we really go into straight leg movement and we activate, it's such a powerful contraction because the leg doesn't always release and relax. I shouldn't say the leg. The knees don't always go into full extension. So when we walk, that seems very weird, right? That it would seem very weird that anybody would walk around with super bent legs. Most of us don't. Most of us just don't know that we're not getting full extension. There's a pushback, and that's when we started our first little walk where we were doing walk. If you don't focus on this extension, it'll stop being extended. And then before you know it, your stride is getting smaller and smaller, okay? And the muscle work is getting less and less, and the buns are getting weaker and weaker. Release and relax. You're done with that. We are coming back to the floor. Move your chair out of your way. We're going to do some rear shoulder training. We're going to do a little bit more of our postural work from a face down position. I want to show you something because I'd love to start working this into our program. So today we haven't done deadlifts, all right? There is a way for us to be lying down and doing a hamstring curl with a dumbbell. If you want to give it a try, your dumbbell needs to stack on its end like that. And here's where you have to go, okay, where are my feet? Where's my dumbbell, right? So you're going to just work your feet around the stem of your bell, and you're going to take your legs. This is a sensory thing because your feet are not used to working with the weight, right? So what do you do with your upper body? Once you watch me do this a couple of times, then you can get yourself totally set up. But in your ideal setup, your hands will be overlapped and your forehead will be on the hands and the elbows will be spread out and your trunk will be as flush to the floor as you can. And then your feet squeeze the dumbbell and you lift the dumbbell very slowly so that you don't whip it back and get it over your bum. Because you have to be cautious to not let the dumbbell drop out of your feet. Okay, so you are trying to decide, ooh, should I give it a try? Or should you stick with no weight, legs together, and you just doing one leg at a time, which isn't going to feel like much, but that's okay. So as a additional word of caution of not dropping the dumbbell on yourself, with your feet squeezing the bell, you're getting the benefit of extra inner thigh contraction. It is really, really important that you try to keep those inner thighs close together. And when you start lifting the weight from the floor, does your hip and your abdomen try to pull up off the floor at the same time too? Because that's when you want to go into your pelvic tilt, squeeze your buns. If you're still doing this with me, there is one more adjustment. As you start lowering the weight back down to the floor, point the toes. And then as you start pulling the weight from the floor, flex the feet. Whew, squeeze the buns when you get the legs bent. Lengthen through the toes, the legs go long, pinch the buns, flex the feet, pull it up, squeeze the buns again. You've got two more. Toes pointing, legs extending, squeeze the buns. Knees together, flex the feet, squeeze the buns. One more. Point the toes, lengthen the legs, pause before the dumbbell hits the floor. Change the ankle position to flexed foot, squeeze the buns. And now as you lower the legs down, gently let the dumbbell touch. Let it slide out from the feet. How'd you do? Right? Good fun. If you're not careful, so first of all, let me just back up. Even if you were only using a 5-pound dumbbell, you should have still felt something. Your hamstrings are super strong muscles. And so we have to find ways that help us work the hamstring without straining the back. I just wanted to bring something different to you today. So now roll yourself over, maybe go into your crisscrossed ankles. Even if your knees are way up here and your spine's all rounded, it should still feel like you're getting a little stretch. But if you can lay yourself out and just go forward for a moment, that'll feel good. Bring yourself up. You're in seated position. Now, if that whole little coccyx thing, if when you try to roll back, you're like, I can't roll back on it. It's been a very long time since we threw this little nugget into the equation. You take your towel and you fold the edge to kind of create this little V position. And that's not really doing it justice, but you're not trying to roll the towel all the way into itself. You want it to have a little channel. And then, believe it or not, you put your sits bones. You just keep working that little towel so that it supports your sits bones, and your coccyx then has a little track to rest in. I don't know, like I don't have that issue. So even when I experiment with the towel positioning, because I don't have any pain in general, it feels weird to be seated like this on this little prop because I don't have pain. But if you do have pain, then that's the way to do the movement. At least that's the information I've been given. So can you just rock back and rock up? And I'm just going to leave the towel under me because there's no reason to not. Right? C curve. Now, what if that still doesn't alleviate anything for you? Then can you use your hands, find a way to wiggle yourself into a position that makes you feel like you're not in a pain position, and then you just hang out there for a moment? So if you need to hang out, stay in hangout mode. If you can actually rock up and back, do that. When you float back, you're not trying to keep your chin and your back stiff in S curve. You actually want to feel your spine round into C, and that draws your chin towards your chest, and then all of your middle body's like hollowed out. And then you come up, and this is your most ideal position, is then to clean up your spine as if you had a wall behind you so that your chin is tucked and you're in S curve. And then you decide you're going to change positions, and you start at your belly, belly to spine, tailbone curls, chin draws, you scan the front of your body, and you're going to find that position. How far back can you go and feel like your abs are doing something? Maybe you get back there and you're like, whew, I need to rest on an elbow. This is still work. Okay. Pull up. Can you do 5 more? Clean it up to S. Feel yourself go to C. Chin. Let your eyes scan your middle body. Did your knees flop out to the side? Track knees, feet, hips, shoulders, your spine. Maybe you're on your elbow going, I'm just going to hang out and wait till she's done. Come up. Release and relax. Your yoga block could be used, or you just keep using your towel. Your towel becomes this really versatile accessory to you. So I want you to think forehead on your towel so that you have a breathing space, because now our arms are going to be doing something. And as you just sit there for a moment and watch me get into position, so you'll know where to go. Okay. So take a moment. We want our forehead on the towel. You want your neck nice and long. So this is important. You should not feel like your neck has any crimp in it. And the towel provides the space for your breathing space so that your nose isn't mashed down in the floor. And your legs are going to be nice and long, and preferably the tops of the feet pushing down into the floor, unless you immediately go into foot cramp. And then you'll have to flex your foot and kind of just guide that leg to hopefully be able to sustain flat top foot, but that might be something that doesn't happen today. Now, your arms are going to be out, T position, shoulders out of the ears, squeeze the buns, turn the thumbs up, and then lift the arms. So that's your move. Get your forehead on your towel, neck is neutral, buns stay tight, tops of the feet push to the floor. As the tops of the feet are pushing to the floor, do you feel your ankle bones rolling one way or the other? With the tops of the feet pushing to the floor, do you feel the quads, that front thigh, squared up to the floor, or is the kneecap rolled one way or the other? Peripherally, you can see whether or not your arms are kind of sliding up towards your jawline, or can you depress the shoulders and watch them pull away? Buns tight, lift, and down. When you come down, try not to release the shoulders, right? You don't want to let the shoulders slide forward up towards the ears and the jaw. You want to keep them in that retracted, depressed position, buns tight. We're going to move the arms 5 more times. 5, 4, squeeze the buns deeper. 3, 2, and now try not to lift your head if you don't have to. Make a fist, and I want you to bend your arms and drive your fist, your knuckles down to the floor. And the palms should be turned in towards your body, okay? But the arms are in a fairly long span. They're just bent. Keep pulling the shoulders out of the ears, squeeze your buns. You are only going to lift your fists from the floor. When you lift your fists from the floor, the arms do not straighten. The angle of your arm does not change. If you could imagine me standing over the top of you and just gently guiding your elbows up, the movement is all of about 2 inches, but it's crucial that your shoulders be pulled away from your ears, your buns tight, the neck is long, and you just rock the arms up and down, up and down, squeezing the upper middle back muscles. Do one more. Pinch and release. All right. Forehead off the towel. Side lying position. So as you come in and you start transitioning to your side lie position, just let the bottom leg pull forward. All right. Your towel or your pillow can be your little head prop for your neck. Right. Get yourself comfortable. Think quadricep stretch. How hard is it for you to get hand to foot? Maybe you can go hand to just under the knee and then rock the leg back a little bit, even though it's not going to be pretty and it's not going to feel like you're doing a quadricep stretch. Your most ideal position is hand sliding down the leg a little bit, getting as close to your foot as you can. Rock it forward. This requires a great amount of knee flexion when your hand is really low and the back of that leg is pulled. So when your calf is practically touching and crimping along the back of your hamstring. So if you find that that's your struggle, then don't worry about it. You just do whatever you can. And they're going to find your position and hold. Is your body opened up and the foot is practically touching the floor? Because that's a little too relaxed, right? Stay hips stacked if you can, belly to spine. Release. If you brought your yoga strap to the floor, now would be a good time to use it if you couldn't get your hand to your foot. So there is a way to do both legs from the same side lying position. It's worth a try. Your top leg is now disconnected, right? You're going to slide it forward. Can you take your bottom foot? Maybe you have to pick your head up because the spatial awareness, you don't know where your foot is in relation to your body. But if you had your strap, you'd just try to lasso that foot, right? And once you get hold of it, you're going to drag the knee back. Voila, the stretch should be happening. If this is a no-go for you because you really just cannot get around your own body, then flip yourself to the other side and do the other leg in its traditional sense. But I love this stretch. The top leg here, which is what we just did, has a very different sensation to pulling the bottom leg back. It's the same muscle, but we're hitting slightly different aspect of the muscle. And this is one of those stretches that, I just try to keep bringing you guys some different stuff so that we're not always doing the same thing. And release and relax. Take your time, push yourself up. I love downward dog, cat back, child's pose, all of that. So I'm going to go into cat cow, one of them. If you want to start getting yourself up, do it. If you feel like you want to work with me, chin to chest, tops the feet flat to the floor, hands under shoulders, knees and hips aligned, arch the middle back up, As you arch the back up, try to press the tops of the feet to the floor. And then let the spine sway, glide the shoulders away from the ears, let the head tip up, and then put everything in neutral. Move the hands forward and a little wide, move the feet and the knees wide, and start driving the knees from the floor into your downward dog. You don't even have to get hung up here. You can just soften your knees and walk back. Get all the way foot loaded before you whip yourself up, right? Slow motion control. As you come out of this, take a nice deep breath, full reach, inhale. Release and relax. Job well done, you guys. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care, and I'll see you maybe tomorrow. I'll be